Remember that Justin's team released this raw, unedited video of a dancing scene. It was actually B-roll that they used in the movie, arguing between them about what's the best way to shoot it and this and the other.
How they look,
So some fans have noticed that there are a lot of camera angles there that look very familiar, and that Blake Lively would certainly know because she did almost the exact same scene with the guy who's now her husband back when he was playing Green Lantern.
You mean the movie where they fell in love, Charles?
Yes.
With each other?
This text from Blake Lively is insane. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth. What?
It's a crazy text.
What are you insinuating? Like, is that a...
How we doing? Beautiful. Where's my wife? Where your wife? Where your wife at? We want to get her.
If you want to move out of the friend zone and into her end zone, pay her a compliment, like nice cooking or...
Everyone gains 10 points next to her.
I'd have with you.
What the?
Play a little under-the-table footsie that'll have her saying, is that a giant, old, soft, decaying banana in your pants?
That's what she'll say? I gotta say, that's just a little hard to unpack.
So's my wang. It's a skin slinky, Colin.
I'm sorry, you guys...
That she became uncomfortable with Justin Baldoni yesterday while she was filming. She states that Mr. Baldoni put his bare hands on her backside and said that he was trying to help her with her posture. Complainant immediately voiced her displeasure with being touched on an intimate part of her body, and Mr. Baldoni responded with, "It's fine. I'm totally hot for my wife," in a dismissive tone.
Justin says that Blake was determined to make him the real-life villain in her story because she wasn't doing well on the promo tour for the movie. It was very tone-deaf. Her hair care line wasn't doing well. She was trying to sell booze while talking about domestic violence. Justin says the war between himself and Blake really started in May 2023 when they started shooting the movie. He claims that she was organizing a takeover strategy.
Asking for the gag order and explaining how he's talking too much. He's threatening to post stuff on public sites. So what I think is this looks good for Baldoni, right? He's like, we want to make it all public. And sometimes lawyers can do this knowing that they can't actually do what they say they're going to do.
The times where people ignore the red flags and say, let's just keep pushing, those are the times where you fail. The majority of things that we're buying are created by men. You always learn more from your failures than you do your successes. I love creating, and I think that as women, you're not often given authorship.
Does Justin Baldoni confirm Blake Lively's secret love affair on the Penn Badgely podcast? That's the talk of the town. An eyebrow-raising revelation supposedly dropped on a podcast run by none other than Penn Badgely, who just so happens to be one of Blake Lively's ex-flames. It's not every day that you find a Hollywood star's alleged skeletons laid bare in front of an old romantic partner's microphone, but apparently that's the scenario overshadowing every other piece of entertainment gossip right now. For those of us who've been skeptical of Lively's squeaky-clean image for ages, this is just another log on the bonfire. Let's break it down. Justin Baldoni, the guy who, let's be real, nobody really cared about until he slapped a lawsuit on Lively, has allegedly confirmed that the two had some hush-hush romantic entanglements. And the big shocker is that it all came out in the most casual setting imaginable, a podcast. In some ways, it's almost comedic. Usually, when a star wants to drop a big secret, they pick a well-known talk show or a carefully orchestrated magazine interview. But a podcast run by Lively's ex, that's next-level drama, and it practically screams there's more to this story than meets the eye. Meanwhile, Lively's usual defenders, those who treat her like the second coming of Hollywood royalty, are trying to do damage control, while the rest of the public, who've been rolling their eyes at her A-lister status for years, are just grabbing the popcorn. Let's be honest, people love a good takedown, especially when it's a star who spent years building an image as a near-perfect figure. And if the rumors of an affair are true, that carefully curated persona might come crashing down. Faster than we can say, was she even that talented? The reason people care so much about whether Justin Baldoni revealed an affair with Blake Lively on that podcast is straightforward. It smashes face first into Lively's too good to be true persona. For years, she's been the woman with the flawless dresses and the high-profile romance that social media stans insist is couple goals. But the possibility that she might have hidden a fling with a relatively unknown Baldoni calls the authenticity of her entire brand into question. It's one thing to suspect she's been skating by on a polished grin and minimal talent. It's another to see someone like Baldoni pop up and effectively say, yeah, she's not who you think she is, and then drop the affair bomb. Most controversial implication here is the idea that Lively's seemingly perfect marriage might just be a giant publicity mirage, one that she's milked for everything it's worth, and that a single candid revelation could bring the whole glossy tower crashing down. Penn Badgely hosting the conversation that might unravel Blake Lively's facade is the kind of petty drama you'd swear came out of a gossip writer's wildest daydream. The ex-lover angle alone gives it a sting that resonates far beyond the typical tabloid fodder. It's as if every cringe detail from a teen soap opera is being reenacted by grown adults who should really know better. The big question is why Baldoni would choose this particular platform. One possibility is that he recognized the perfect opportunity to twist the knife. Because what better way to humiliate Lively than by airing her secrets on a show run by a man who once dated her? The shocking and most controversial insinuation is that Baldoni picked Penn's show precisely to rub salt in Lively's old wounds, turning a mundane podcast appearance into an excruciating, real-life exposé. It's almost hilarious to see Justin Baldoni suddenly emerge as the unlikely anti-hero in this Hollywood drama, especially since nobody outside a handful of TV fans even knew who he was a year ago. Some watchers find it deeply satisfying that a seemingly irrelevant actor could be the final straw for Blake Lively's squeaky-clean facade. Every time he drops a cryptic comment or a big revelation, the anti-Lively crowd cheers like they're at a sports game rooting for the underdog. The underlying tension, the part that raises eyebrows most controversially, is how many people are wholeheartedly embracing Baldoni's narrative solely because they loathe Lively. In a twisted way, it's less about championing Baldoni than it is about toppling the star who never lived up to her own hype. It's that combination of petty satisfaction and raw disdain that fuels this entire fiasco, giving Baldoni a cheering section that he likely never expected. Social media is an uproar of memes, side-eyed comments, and lengthy threads on how all of this might tie back into the Baldoni-Lively lawsuit that's been unfolding behind closed doors. Twitter especially has become a minefield of conspiracies about what kind of evidence might have triggered Baldoni to open up on Penn's podcast. The lawsuit was already rumored to involve scandalous tapes or personal revelations that Lively desperately wanted buried. Now, there's a fresh swirl of talk, speculating that perhaps this alleged affair was the final puzzle piece all along. The most controversial takeaway is how the affair rumor could cast doubt on everything else Lively says or does, especially in the courtroom. If people are convinced she's capable of sneaking around, they're liable to believe she's capable of all sorts of cover-ups or manipulations in the legal sphere too. Whether that's fair or not, public opinion rarely cares about nuance when it comes to a star they already suspect of being fake. Trying to figure out why Baldoni would confirm an affair in the most casual form possible leads to all kinds of speculation. One of the more salacious theories is that this is pure revenge. Lively allegedly tried to use her star power to bury Baldoni in a legal battle, and he's responding by burying her in scandal. Another theory suggests he's piggybacking on the enormous wave of anti-Lively sentiment that's been brewing for ages. Drop a bombshell, watch the crowd go wild, and voila, instant fame or infamy. The truly outrageous possibility, and the one people can't stop gossiping about, is that Lively's entire perfect couple narrative could be a carefully orchestrated sham. If there's any real evidence of a hush-hush affair, she could lose whatever fragile credibility she had left. Even her equally polarizing husband, Ryan Reynolds, might suffer collateral damage by association, showing the world that their entire brand was more about carefully curated illusions than genuine substance. The lawsuit looms in the background like a ticking time bomb. If Baldoni's chat on Penn Badgely's podcast gains any traction as truth, it could absolutely light a fuse under the legal proceedings. Lively might have to counter with a denial, or produce evidence that no such affair took place, which could backfire if it just draws more attention to the rumor. Alternatively, she could clamp down and refuse to comment, stirring even more suspicion among skeptics who believe silence equals guilt. The wildest speculation centers on whether Ryan Reynolds will be forced to break his usual comedic persona and seriously address the controversy. Fans have grown used to Reynolds turning everything into a joke, but a rumored affair is hardly prime fodder for zippy one-liners. The potential meltdown, if he tries to be witty about it and fails, might be more entertaining than the rumor itself. The notion that Lively built her entire reputation on red carpet glam and Instagram banter only for a random rumor on a second-tier podcast to unravel it is almost too juicy to bear. It fits perfectly into the pattern of Tinseltown illusions. Everything's peachy until one slip reveals the cracks beneath the facade. What makes it so controversial is that so many fans have idolized Lively and Reynolds as the pinnacle of love and humor, yet here's Baldoni, quietly insisting they're not as golden as they pretend to be. The question of whether Lively specifically manipulated press and social media to appear squeaky clean is now fair game for gossip hounds. If she was indeed juggling a secret romance with Baldoni, that highlights a more cunning side. The overshadowing aura of their lawsuit also hints that Lively may have known this day could come and tried to preemptively stop it through legal intimidation. That's the real bombshell. The idea that she was always terrified of real truth surfacing. Entertainment lawyers are probably salivating at the potential meltdown. A star of Lively's caliber embroiled in a scandal that might tie directly to a legal spat is red meat for high-stakes negotiations. If there's any chance that the rumored affair and associated secrets factor into the evidence, it becomes a chess game of who gets to spin the narrative first. Meanwhile, film studios and endorsement sponsors are no doubt watching with one hand on the phone, ready to reevaluate their relationship with Lively if things get uglier. In terms of industry fallout, the big controversial angle is how quickly a star can go from everyone's darling to Hollywood pariah. If Lively really is the shallow opportunist some critics believe, this rumor could fast-track her downgrade from supposed A-list to a cautionary tale. Baldoni, ironically, might benefit in a twisted way, even if people end up labeling him the opportunist, because any publicity is still publicity when you're trying to climb the ladder. People can't stop gossiping about why Penn Badgely would even allow such a conversation on his show. Did he orchestrate this ambush to get back at Lively for their past? Did Baldoni just barge in and start spilling the beans, leaving Penn stunned? Or is the whole thing some elaborate script to rake in listens and views? No scenario paints Lively as the innocent party. The hardest-hitting and arguably most controversial suggestion is that Penn might have harbored resentment or curiosity about the rumors swirling around Lively, and letting Baldoni speak was his subtle way of going for the jugular. Even if Penn claims ignorance, the fact remains that the old adage, "don't cross your ex," has never felt more apt. Lively's supporters might call it a cruel setup, while her critics see it as cosmic payback for the actress who sold herself as too perfect. Either way, it's the kind of sensational twist that keeps fans glued to every new scrap of information. Ultimately, we find ourselves staring at a situation that's almost too dramatic to be believed. The rumor that Justin Baldoni confessed to a secret fling with Blake Lively on Penn Badgley's podcast touches every nerve in the Hollywood hype machine. She's the glossy star whose critics claim she's all fluff. He's the underdog who popped up out of nowhere to tear at her pedestal. And Penn is the ex who inadvertently, or deliberately, facilitated this jaw-dropping reveal. The piece that's truly setting tongues wagging is the idea that Lively's entire marriage, her biggest brand asset, might be more PR than reality. If this rumor grows legs, it could dismantle the persona she and Ryan Reynolds have paraded around for years. Skeptics have always rolled their eyes at the pair, labeling them overrated. Now, if Baldoni's claim is even partly true, we might see the biggest blow to Lively's career that she's ever faced. And the comedic, or tragic part, is that it all blew up thanks to a small-scale podcast of all places. As we brace for more information, be it legal updates, statements from Lively's representatives, or even new tidbits from Baldoni, one truth remains. Once the public doubts your authenticity, every move you make looks like desperation. Right now, that skepticism circles Blake Lively like a vulture eyeing a wounded creature, and plenty of viewers wouldn't mind watching her drop from the pedestal she may never have deserved in the first place. As the story continues to unfold, there's always more to discover. Thanks for tapping in now. Like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you're the first to know when more secrets come to light.